Hey there, people. I just wanted to share my, uh, I guess, my experience so far with dealing with and treating hair loss. Um, just so others can maybe, um, I guess, take some of what I've learnt in all my research over the last sort of 2.5, 3 years, and sort of apply that to themselves without reading all the stuff you might hear on forums or things like that, actual sort of anecdotal sort of evidence and feedback. And that's just my sort of experience. So as you can tell, I've not majorly sort of lost a ton of hair, but back in June 2019, I've always had a fairly decent hairline, but I was combing my hair one day and I just noticed just a giant divot. It looked like someone had literally just torn a chunk out of my hair. I wasn't sure what it was, but I was sort of in denial. I wasn't sure if it was my hair ties when training jujitsu, whether it was getting torn out when I was training, but it was a shock to see that amount of hair just gone within. I mean, I really hadn't noticed it at all. It had always been sort of straight there. Um, so yeah, so I went and booked in with a particular one of these generic sort of hair loss clinics, which do charge quite a lot of money. I was quite inexperienced, so I did a Google search and I found the first thing uh, in London, and it was came out with this particular clinic, and they said, come in for a consultation and we can give you advice. So I went into this place and yeah, had a nice lady, took photos of my head, and then just kind of explained how I had, hair loss around the temples and the hairline. So it's pretty common sort of hair loss. Um, and they provided me some options. I really wasn't aware that I was experiencing this hair loss until they pointed out the actual thinning. So yeah, they offered me a solution of progesterone and minoxidil, which I then went home the same day and applied to my scalp for the first time. Now this stuff, yeah, had a very strange reaction. I felt very spaced out and quite heavy-headed. And I've heard that from a lot of people with minoxidil, but I haven't heard of many people using topical progesterone. But I know that's used at different places. But yeah, I had felt quite spaced out and some very odd kind of nightmares for about sort of 4 nights. And um, I kind of decided against this stuff as I saw that it's also used in higher doses for things like sort of hermaphrodite, some kind of hermaphrodite treatment, no, or I think sex change treatment. So I initially got freaked out, and then I stopped taking the stuff, um, and then I basically sort of stalled for a while and didn't really take anything, and then I slowly kind of decided, okay, I'm going to take minoxidil. So I did. I probably did minoxidil on and off for maybe like the next sort of 6 months or so. And yeah, I mean, I just again, it was quite for a while. I think it takes a while to build up your tolerance, but you do get, maybe I was applying too much, but getting those kind of headaches and I don't know, it felt a bit lightheaded. I think it's partly due to the blood flow. It's a vasodilator, so it kind of expands the blood vessels. That's the way I've heard it described. The blood vessels as well as the hair follicles and the hairs, so it gives the appearance of thicker hair, and it seems to sort of create these baby hairs. But the thing I was finding with minoxidil was that it didn't really seem like you're actually generating real hair or preserving the actual natural hair. You're getting this kind of fluffy sort of fill in hair, and you can actually notice it when you can see people who are using heavy amounts of, Regain or topical Minoxidil. It doesn't look, it's maybe not that natural, but it's probably better than, being stark bald in certain spots. But that was so I was doing the Minoxidil thing for a while, and it kind of gave the appearance that it was retaining thickness, but yeah, I wasn't really convinced when, looking into the science behind, DHT, and you really need to, if you want to seriously tackle hair loss, the science and the data is there. It's you have to block DHT. So I began I was freaked out. I had, a friend who had been on Finasteride. He told me he's got super depressed and all that kind of stuff. So I was a bit freaked out about Finasteride, and doctors had warned me, oh, this stuff is very strong. You gotta realize there are side effects of low libido, erectile dysfunction, and depression. And I was a bit afraid of that stuff. So I began microdosing at 0.25 milligrams. I did initially. It's hard to tell how much of this is placebo, but and how much of it is actual. But I did feel I just felt a bit weird, a bit foggy for the first sort of couple of days, and I felt like I had lost a lot of feeling downstairs. So it just felt smaller and less aroused. So yeah, that was I took that for sort of about 4 days, and I also noticed ball aches as well, and I know this is a commonly reported sort of symptom or side effect, as you will. So after about 4 days, I stopped it, and then I didn't touch it for another sort of 3 weeks to a month, and then I was like, okay, I've got to keep trying this. So again, just at 0.25 milligrams. And this is just a broken pill, I use a pill cutter. And then I sort of used this consistently. I still had the ball aches, but I didn't have the foggy head. I think, I think some people, they feel quite strong side effects when they take these things for the very first time, because your system is taking quite a drastic kind of hormonal change in the body and in the brain. So it's quite immediately it goes from, this level of DHT to, 65% immediately reduced, or say maybe 60% if I'm taking a lower dose. But I think the body might just get in a little bit of a shock, and then it kind of has to get used to the doses. And then I think that for me, at least, those side effects, very mild side effects, but still very worrying side effects, because I'm a very health conscious person. I work out, I take vitamins, I eat whole foods, I don't smoke, I drink every so often, but yeah, I'm very healthy and very sort of cognizant of my personal health. So with this, I noticed, okay, these ball aches. I did a bit of research, looked around different places, and some people were saying it kind of disappeared over time. So I just trusted in the medication itself, and I really just after about sort of sometime after around 4 months, the ball pain just went away. So, and then I just continued, I upped the dose to 0.5, still no ball pain, and then that was for a couple of months, and then upped it to 1 milligram, because I believe you take the full dose if you can tolerate the full dose. You want the maximum effectiveness. So yeah, had been taking Finasteride for around the 12-month mark, and you can probably notice here, but I was very thick here probably about, say, 2 years ago or so, and I was noticing it was just ever so slightly getting thinner on this part here, and I was like, you know what? I'm only blocking 65%, or it's around 65 or 67% of DHT. And a lot of the, the research papers and, what other YouTube channels, with doctors and stuff have said and, explained it is actually only slowing the hair loss. It can give the appearance that you're not losing any further hair, and it probably would regrow some hair if it's only been miniaturized for a short time, but it's only slowing the hair loss. So, I mean, even a few hairs, even losing a few hairs in a thin region like here or here is noticeable. So I was like, what, I'd heard Aston Kutcher had been on, Dutasteride since he was about 25, I think, and a few other people had reported, going on Dutasteride and feeling absolutely fine. And I'd also kind of, in my research, found that, DHT, although it probably is important for, or it probably is utilized and is beneficial to have that in your system, it's not necessarily going to have, the effects are not really noticeable if you're blocking all of it. So I'd already been blocking, around 65 to 67%. Why don't I block 100%? Why don't I block, 99% of it? If I'm really serious about fully halting hair loss and knowing that, okay, what is this going to do for me if I can be confident that it's blocking pretty much all of the DHT? So I've been on Dutasteride for about sort of nearly 4 months now. I haven't noticed any further hair loss. But I did notice, like, after about sort of 2 months, I noticed these little hairs, that are about an inch long. I noticed a lot of these little hairs sort of just sprouting. Not a lot, but, it's a noticeable number of new hairs just kind of sprouting, and so that's a good sign. I'm not really confident that this area here, seeing that it was so badly reduced from previous baldness, I'm not really confident this will fully grow back. So what I'm doing, if after say 1 year of Dutasteride, I will assess things. You're meant to see, most of the effectiveness or results around after that 12-year period. 12-month period to 2 years. You should be able to know, okay, what are the results of this thing. Now, if my hair stays identical, if I haven't noticed any kind of measurable hair loss after say 1 year, 1.5 years, I may consider just a very minor hair transplant just to fill in these gaps, because it is, when I take pictures from the side profile, I just got this divot here. It's a decent enough hairline, a little bit receded, but I've been told I may need about 1,000 grafts to 1,200 grafts if I get it, and it's going to be just a very subtle amount to get back to what that baseline was, sort of about say 4 years ago. But I really, anyone who kind of is looking at getting a hair transplant, I would strongly advise to take the proper treatments, whether you want to do Finasteride or Dutasteride, and really just like test, is more hair falling out, or are you actually able to retain where you were when you started? Because if you get a hair transplant, you're just gonna, if you get a hair transplant, you fill in the front, and you're not, on a proper, hair loss regimen of actually stopping further hair loss. If you're continuing hair loss, you're really going to put yourself in an awkward position, and you're going to need a lot of hair transplants, ideally. Like, they're so yeah, you just want to be goddamn sure, because I don't want to be I don't want to be 45 and have half my hair, back here, and I've still got, this bloody, like, half-inch hairline of, like, transplanted hair. Like, you really have to make sure that the treatment is working, unless you want to be getting hair transplants, whatever, every like 6 years or something like that, which is, it's both expensive and, like, it's a lot of trauma to the system as well, and it's not something you want to be doing for the rest of your life, in my opinion. So yeah, that's sort of my current experience regarding, like, hair loss and my approach to it. Yeah, so I'll be posting more videos. This is my first video, but I've got sort of more knowledge to share. I think I'm going to do some in-depth ones with photographs and some other tips, and also other areas outside of hair loss, health, lifestyle, looks, style, everything, bettering your life, and just conversations about things which put value out there. So if you have any questions or anything you want to ask, if you're a newbie, or even if you have any words of advice, post them down in the comments. Yeah, thanks.